Roman civil war continues. However, Octavian is up against it. Not only is he fighting Mark Antony, but the forces of Lepidus in Carthage have risen up against him. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Rome Total War online battle. This was once again sent in to me by the same guys who sent in the previous Roman civil war battle with Antony, which was really awesome. And they have now just started up a Discord, so if you guys want to go ahead and play in these battles, be a part of these cool scenarios, then join the Discord. I'll leave a link down below in the description, and go make sure to check it out if you want to be a part of these battles in the future. So yes, today we have a pretty cool scenario battle. We have Octavian upon the hill, and he is going to be defending against Lepidus's Rome. These guys are the dudes who start off in Carthage and Iberia, and they have obviously a nice supplement of forces to support that. They have the Belarios slingers, they have the Numidian cavalry, they have much more lighter infantry going up against Octavian, who obviously will have the heavier Roman legionaries and other sorts of infantry. You can see the mercenary Iberian cavalry skirting around the front lines, ready to push up upon this hill. And it's going to be a hard fight for Lepidus, because obviously, as you can see, Octavian does have a pretty large hill advantage, but he's going to be pushing against his opponents as best as he can. You can also see some Iberian auxiliary Belarios slingers here as well, which are awesome indeed. And also some gladiators. I love seeing the gladiators being brought out in the battles, as they just do a ton of damage and melt cavalry if they can get up against it. Octavian forces, and we can click play whilst the Numidian cavalry or the Iberian cavalry, sorry, and the Numidian cavalry charge forward. Octavian does have a pretty nice hill defense. He does have the Celtic skirmishers on his front line, a lot of these veteran legionaries. And I really love the formation as well that the players are creating. Obviously, the the famous Roman killing boxes right here are brutal. That's kind of a really exciting thing about these scenario battles, and why you guys should definitely join the Discord is because, not every battle has to be one straight line. They can really come up with some cool scenarios. I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully getting a scenario or two where like there's reinforcements off the map, and like they're waiting to come on, and there's a set time until the reinforcements are allowed to move. A lot of pre-game deployments to kind of create interesting scenarios where the players turn off fire at will and then decide like, okay, we're going to move our forces in these directions and set up like this, and you can't move for a set amount of time, and then kind of the battle just evolves. That's what the really exciting thing is, when you've got all these people in a Discord that you can just kind of discuss these rules with, come up with kind of a cool idea, and then just allow it to be kind of play out because everyone is on the same page. Obviously they can use a bunch of different mods, divide it in larger battlefields to create interesting scenarios, and just kind of take their time setting up a battle. Not every battle has to get kicked off as soon as the engagement starts. However, it does seem like Lepidus is going to throw his legionary cavalry against Octavian, and Octavian is going to get caught a little bit off guard. However, he does manage to get his charge off, and these two forces start to collide. You can see the cavalry, mainly both legionary cavalry, advancing into one another. And it does seem like Lepidus does have the cavalry advantage over here, and he's going to be seizing the advantage quite quickly, charging in onto the Roman levies and doing some really decent damage on them. However, the cavalry is just ripping apart these legionaries. It just seems like Lepidus has quite quickly outnumbered their opponents on this side. They are obviously losing a lot of cavalry to these levies, but there's just not enough cavalry over on this side, and we're not seeing any legionaries being thrown over here, which is kind of giving this cavalry free reign to move over. The legionaries and the rest of the cavalry are rushing over, but this fast moving legionary cavalry just is not over here in time. Actually, this is Celtic cavalry. They're just not arriving in time, and that's going to give Lepidus the advantage to kill some levies. Now, granted, the levies are pretty goddamn cheap, so it's not really the end of the world to lose them. However, obviously keeping them alive would be pretty nice. You can see there's only a handful of cavalry here, and then some Romans coming in, throwing their pillar, scaring off that cavalry. So a pretty good skirmisher phase right there by Lepidus, killing some levies, and only losing a handful of horses from that little charge. So not too bad. I'd say it's probably kind of, obviously Lepidus came out on top in that, but it wasn't that crazy when it comes to the exchange, because they killed some decent horse and only lost some cheap ass levies. So it's not really the end of the world. We've got some cavalry coming in now as well over on the other side. However, Octavian is looking just to continue to pull back, doesn't want to overcommit to this. However, Numidians are going to overstay their welcome and get charged and lose a few horses as they do try and pull back from this fight. We also have another cavalry engagement over on the other side of the battlefield as horses come in trying to pick away the cavalry and also the levies, and they're going to be sent back packing as infantry is over here now to support this side of the battlefield. This is one hell of a hectic battle already as both sides are throwing everything at one another. And neither side wants to overcommit. You got more spearmen making their way. We got some vigiles, which is actually a really decent unit to go ahead and basically support this cavalry, as they are obviously, you know, a light spear unit that can quite quickly maneuver in. And right now, it seems like the Romans are just looking to try and pin down Lepidus's cavalry and try and do as much damage to it as possible, really pushing this flank, however losing a lot of Octavian's cavalry over on that side. It seems like over on this part as well, it looks like Lepidus is getting beaten back. The mercenary Iberian cavalry is no match for the heavier legionary horse, and they're able to kill a handful of that Spanish cavalry before being thrown back. We did a nice little overview of the battlefield. You can see there's a nice little artillery piece back there, which should now be able to start shooting on this unit of legionary first cohorts. But it does seem like this is pushed up pretty heavily. The left flank for Octavian has really gone down the hill, and the other two legions are waiting back. I don't really know why they're holding back. They need to kind of maybe start to go a bit further forward to reinforce. We can't see the majority of Octavian's force, so don't worry. He definitely has more of this. It's just he's playing the other side, and at the moment they're out of fog of war, so we can't see everything that they do have until they get a little bit closer, as we're watching it from Lepidus's point of view. However, Octavian definitely has closed the distance, and he's using his Gallic hunters to hammer away and do some really nice damage to the Balearic slingers, really bringing them down. However, they are exchanging a bit, and this is going to force the legionary first cohorts to advance forward, and the other late period legionaries to also go into the enemy, and it's going to be dangerous. Obviously, fighting uphill is never a preferred scenario, and again they're just going to fall back, just trying to scare off the enemy. It seems like these flanks are really the ones which are erupting, as both sides are just throwing cavalry, spear, and everything else. This is a really nice move now by Octavian. Using these gladiator spearmen to kill cavalry is amazing. That peeler throw was devastating. Oh my god, they lost like 30 men there. But these guys have a very nice bonus against cavalry, and they're very fast as well, so they can quite quickly get into these fights and scare off the horses. Over on the other side of things, we are seeing just more of a stalemate now, as the cavalry has pulled back and both sides are still just waiting off. But I mean, yeah, if I was Lepidus, I'd quite quickly envelop this player and push on. We've got some artillery coming in as well. Just falling a bit short there, unfortunately, for the first cohorts. But yeah, definitely, if I was Lepidus, I would quite quickly close off this gap and punish them. But I guess they're not really that punished, because they can easily defend this gap right here. And again, I'm sure they have more men kind of situated back here, but we just can't quite see in this battle at the moment. More cavalry moving around the flank, looking to try and catch these mercenary Iberian swords a bit off guard, because there's not really any cavalry over here. That could have been a brutal charge in the back. The skirmish cavalry is going to throw their javelins, and then the other infantry is going to go flying in. That's a rear charge, going to do some good damage, and actually get very close to breaking this unit of Iberian swords. However, this could be their downfall. I say that, I was going to say, they could get surrounded quite quickly by Lepidus's horses, but quite quickly they've charged in against the Numidians, and that's going to be a favourable engagement. I think at this point, Octavian should just commit to that fight. He really, really should. Still no infantry engagements, and Lepidus is kind of playing a lot more defensive on that left-hand side. But the sides are edging closer and closer towards one another. We're also seeing these huge kind of skirmishes out on the flank. It does seem like Lepidus is overrunning the position, but it's probably because the legionary cavalry just isn't committing to this fight, and also the gladiator spearmen are doing a great job. But I think both sides is severely hampered on this cavalry fight. Neither side really has the advantage, and what the hell is this? Oh, there's a unit of cavalry who made it back but didn't quite get in on these Gallic hunters, unfortunately. That was a shame. We also do have a front line opening up now. A lot of these Balearic slingers just hammering away on the Roman front line. They're actually focusing down a very good unit. Killing these auxiliary naked swords is going to, start going very quickly. Obviously, the Balearic slingers are much better at killing armored units, but still, they're still going to do just as much damage to these auxiliary naked swords, and I think this might prompt the front line for Octavian to actually charge forward and get stuck in, because right now, we're at a bit of a stalemate, and we're going to have to see what side really commits first. I mean, realistically, Octavian shouldn't have to come off this hill, but they're not in the worst situation if they do decide to do that, because by pushing down this hill, they still have that hill advantage, right, because it is still just sloping. But right now, they are just going to be taking this missile fire, getting the auxiliary naked spears in range of their peeler throwing, racking up some nice kills on that. I think there's also maybe some Celtic missiles back there. We just can't get. I think it's the Celtic missiles actually shooting rather than the Romans. And again, they're going to be doing some decent damage to these Balearic slingers, taking their numbers down bit by bit. Does seem like, though, over on this side, Lepidus is, Octavian is really pushing around this flank, utilizing his cavalry. Probably going to go after this ballista, as the ballista has now got in range of the entirety of Octavian's front line. And we are seeing Lepidus over on this right-hand side really push up his line now once again. And we might finally see a deadly infantry engagement. This battle has been very heavily focused on that skirmisher element, and you know, we've only got 9 minutes left or so of the battle, so I think now we're going to really see the infantry collide, as both sides probably are in peeler range against one another. I think neither side wants to overcommit to getting into that peeler range, but it does seem like Octavian is going to go in now, get that peeler off and ready to go, as Octavian's Rome is ready to fire in. Are they just outside of peeler range once again? I think they must be pretty close. Almost like inches. And it's going to see a big... Oh, Lepidus has gone into a heavy defensive formation, realizing that he's taking quite a lot of damage. And this is going to spew Octavian just to go flying forward. I mean, look at this formation right now. The peeler is going off along the front lines. We want to see that charge. It does seem that they are going to go in. And the Roman formations are going to collide as Octavian and Lepidus's legionaries clash. And that battle line is looking awesome. As we slow up the camera and just watch this battle get into the battle lines so you guys can truly see these legionaries collide. You can see the eagle being held high. I think that is part of Lepidus's forces. Actually, no, that's an Octavian eagle right there. And both sides have now fully committed. It does seem like Octavian has the infantry advantage though, and he's going to be advancing a unit right around that flank, and that's going to be pretty deadly. I don't know what we have back, but we have some cavalry back there that can be really useful. Beast Legionary is going to leave itself a bit vulnerable though to all the Vigiles back here, or the Velites, sorry. That's going to be pretty deadly, and now the entirety of the battlefield has collided. It does seem like Octavian in the center though is pretty scarce on infantry. I don't really know where all of his infantry is, because it feels like he's only committed a couple infantry. I guess they are Praetorians though, so that will be one of the reasons, because he spent so much money on these expensive units. And the naked spears as well are also being engaged against the legionaries. Probably not going to fare too well, but you can see this entire battle line is going pretty crazy. Octavian himself, oh, that's actually the general unit right there. The general infantry unit charging in, and he'll be able to make quick work of these Velites and even probably the legionary cavalry. Legionary cavalry is going to make a charge, but I can't imagine it's going to be as effective as the Romans are ready to fight this back, and they are kind of facing the enemy. And I think it's only a matter of time until this flank crumbles because of this envelopment that has occurred. And even on the front lines, it does seem like Lepidus's legionaries just can't hold up to Octavian. Over on this far extreme right-hand side, we are seeing a massive flanking push. It's going to be a little bit vulnerable to this cavalry coming in. But it seems like the players are defending themselves pretty well. And oh my god, this one unit of Praetorians have been completely enveloped. This poor unit. There is no escape for them at all. And it does not seem like Octavian is willing to commit more men to this fight. So these Praetorians are going to have to fight to the very last man in the hopes they can survive. And reinforcements, you can see the legionaries are just still waiting for the order to come forward. Some missiles coming in, so maybe Octavian is using this unit as a sacrificial lamb to basically sacrifice these guys so that they can shoot them in the back and probably rack up more kills that way. They have sent a unit of Vigiles to the fight, but again, these light spearmen are going to be nothing to the armored legionaries of Lepidus's Rome. One of the generals over Legatus for Octavian is getting taken down by the heavy amounts of Iberian slingers there. And as you can see, the entire center has been blown wide open for Octavian's Rome. There is nothing there anymore. And you're quite quickly seeing Lepidus and his legionaries advance around and really hammer in against Octavian. Octavian has won on this left flank, but he's soon to be heavily outflanked by Lepidus in the center. And I don't think there's much more he can do, really. Going to be throwing in another legionary unit who do get their peeler off. It doesn't seem like this first cohort has any more missiles left, but as you can see on this left flank, it is just completely dissipated as the generals, I think, start to go down, and you're seeing the complete brokenness of these forces. And I think it was just a lack of commitment for Octavian's Rome that really hurt them. I really like this big flank out here, but then they just stopped committing to the fight, and that's, you know, they're trying to be a little bit more standoffish. They want to try and win other positions before assaulting, because realistically this is a smaller force than what Lepidus has, right? So you would think that because this army is taking up a large amount of Lepidus's army, the other two sides would win. You know, the center and the left flank would end up winning, but that just wasn't the case in this battle. And, you know, maybe just if these guys would have committed a little bit earlier, they would have been able to put a lot more pressure on them. Because, I mean, realistically, this Octavian is now completely surrounded. It was just the center but I think that really punished them. And now the battle is going to be winding down as Octavian's Rome does get surrounded and punished bit by bit. Yeah, as I said, like, I think it really came down to that center just not really being a center. I don't really know what happened to it. Maybe they stacked this left flank in the hopes that the center would hold a little bit longer. But unfortunately, that just was not the case. Now we're seeing the last stand of Octavian's legionaries. So Octavian's won against, he's won against Mark Antony in that super close siege battle we fought, and now he's lost against Lepidus. I would definitely love to see some more other DLC battles as well. You know, even if it is just Rome Carthage from Hannibal at the Gates or Rome vs Gaul or whatever. There are obviously a lot of DLCs out there, and it's really cool that they are sending in me in these DLC replays for sure. So yeah, I'd definitely love to see some more battles from the other DLCs, because I feel like you see units and factions that you don't necessarily see all the time. And obviously large-scale sieges are always the best thing. You know, if you're going to do a 2 vs 2, make sure it's large armies. If you're going to do, you know, bigger battles, 3v3s and 4v4s are always preferred, as I know that's what you guys love to see on the channel. But right now we are just seeing the surrounding. Now, you know, Octavian's forces are trying their best to set up kill zones, trying to hit these guys in the side, trying to hold them the front line, but it's just not enough. The mana pools are committed. We are seeing the legionaries go in. The Balearic Slingers really did an amazing job in this battle, racking up hundreds of kills. Yeah, you can see them just doing an amazing job right there. Lots of damage. However, the numbers, Lepidus has so many legionaries still left remaining in marching column, abusing these gaps. We've got some cavalry coming down as around the Legatus for them. And I mean, look at this. They even have all these reinforcements rushing over. Yeah, even with the hill, they really struggled to take this one down. Even with the auxiliary Celtic skirmishers now being thrown into the battle, there is no hope whatsoever. And I think we're going to see a mass rout momentarily. You can even see the reinforcements coming upon the hill. Little does Octavian's legionaries know that the battle is lost. They're still fighting on as if, you know, his flank and center are still holding. Brutal stuff indeed. So once again, big shout out to the guys who sent this battle in, as it does seem like that Octavian is just making his last stand. Beautiful kind of abuse of these gaps right now. So yeah, once again, big shout out to the guys who sent this battle replay in. As I said, if you want to be a part of these scenarios, join the Discord. I'll leave a link down below in the description. And again, if anyone wants to, you know, if anyone sends me in a battle replay and they have a battle Discord or a tournament they want me to advertise, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do that if you send me in a replay. Because generally, you know, it's only going to get me more replays, right? So it's always a good idea, and it lets you guys find more people to play with. So there we go. That is going to be the battle. GG, Lepidus's Rome is going to take this one. Very, very cool indeed. I always love the scenario. And as I said, I would love to see more like kind of pre-built scenarios where you guys kind of set up cool deployments and stuff before the battle. You know, before you guys start the battle, you just turn off fire at will, you set up a cool deployment, and then you kick off the battle, maybe with some cool rules here and there. I'd definitely love to see that in the future, and I'm sure we will get it. If you guys have any cool ideas, then either put them down in the comments so the guys can see them, or join the Discord and be a part of it. Say, hey, I've got this really cool idea I'd love to do with you guys, and see what they think, and yeah, be a part of these battles in the future. So yeah, big shout out to all the guys who played in this one. I'm really interested to see how many kills the Balearic Slingers got. So 170, 200 kills, yeah, there. Even like these Velites did okay, actually. And the cavalry did pretty decent. For Octavian, his legionaries did great, obviously, as they do. But it was just that center force, yeah, it was just center force. It just did not have the numbers, really. But maybe he just, I mean, he must have spent all his money, but he just spent it on Praetorian Guard. Like, obviously, again, this was kind of part of the idea, right, to bring a heavy Gallic force, which maybe just didn't hold up to the legionaries, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this battle. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.